everyone. This is Ricky Baez from Baezco Learning and co-host of the HR Talk podcast. I haven't done a quick hit video in about a couple of weeks, and there's a lot that's been happening in the world since that time. So I wanted to take this time out and then connect with a very good friend of mine and a very good friend of the show, Sweet Baby J, who is broadcasting live. I don't know from where. Where are you broadcasting from, Sweet Baby? You know what?
All right.
Hold on. Let me stop. I don't like calling you Sweet Baby J. I'm just gonna call you J. Is is
J
that okay?
works. J works.
Okay.
J
Jay.
works. Just for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, Jay, where are you broadcasting from?
I'm actually broadcasting from a little like bodega type location named what is it? Nice and tasty, I think.
No, I think it's
Uh
near. Yeah, I know exactly what you're
yes,
talking about. Near and tasty.
near and tasty, but it's funny because the and is really small. So it looks like the name of it is near tasty, which is
Yeah.
not the best.
No, it's I hear you. And actually, so Jay and I we know each other because we live in the same area, same neighborhood, and I know exactly the place that he's talking about. So Jay, I've been there before. Have you had
Oh,
their burgers at all, or their
I've
sandwiches?
met I've had a pack of bread from here one time. I've
A
never
pack of
eaten
bread.
here.
Got it.
Yeah, that would be a loaf of bread.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. So a loaf of bread. I guess it's one of those things that you didn't want to go all the way out to Walmart and you're like, let me get a near and tasty and then grab it there, right?
It's your local spot. It's like the corner store, I guess.
It is. Yeah. It's literally like half a mile from my house. But man,
Mm.
I got to tell you, I've had a burger there before. And, and I love to grill out. I love to cook. I love to grill out.
How
I
did it
ordered a
compare to yours?
man. I spent $8, which all right, it's $8 for a burger that was frozen. It was a Bubba burger that they
What?
reheated.
What?
And it's the cheapest buns from Walmart. And they
They
gave me
gotta do
like
better.
chips, and the chips were like Lay's potato chips. And I'm
They
like,
gotta do better.
so you essentially reheated a brand name food and you open the package. And I'm like, so I tried to give them some tips and they didn't want to hear it. All right, fine. I never went back there again. That was
Oh,
like
oh,
two
you
years ago.
tried to give them tips? Well, there you go.
I mean,
Listen,
from a customer's perspective, yeah. I mean, why not listen to a customer?
well, when in business, the customer is always right. So
Mhm.
therefore, and if someone's coming at you and trying to give you uh, their experience, you should take heed because it's not just
Right?
that one customer. It's many customers that's probably having the same experience and which could only boost your business.
What I think you should do, Jay, I think after we finish recording, go order a burger, and then you should record the whole thing live. Record it, put it on your podcast because you do have a podcast, right? What's the name of your podcast?
Well, I'm always there where nothing's off the table on Talking Sweet with Sweet Baby J. Hey, check in. You're always very much welcome to talk a little
All right.
conversation about anything with Talking Sweet. 669-241-1422 if you ever want to call in for an anonymous interview.
Anonymous interview. Okay.
Everything is anonymous. You can share your name if you want, but I prefer it's anonymous because we all have things going on in our life that maybe we want to talk about, but we just don't want the world to know who it is.
Funny you say that because there's a lot going on in the world right now, and this is something that I really wanted to talk to you about. Because for the people who don't know us, you and I have something in common. I mean, we're both veterans.
Yeah.
It's I served in the Marine Corps. You served in the Army. I
Yep.
was a communications guy for an artillery unit, and then you were as what do you do for the Army?
I was a military police officer,
You was a military cop,
MP.
MP.
Yes, sir.
And how long
Yes,
did you do that
sir.
for?
9.5 years.
9.5 years. You couldn't go another 11. It's 10 and a half years, huh? For the 20?
Bro, let me tell you, I would have retired with over 20 years if I stayed in. But after my experience in Iraq,
Yeah.
I really learned very quick why the military is not for me. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
I fulfilled my contract, and while my unit was dismissing us back to our families, I literally walked out of formation and just left, never turned back.
You went AWOL?
No, I just
Oh.
walked out of formation. No,
Oh,
no,
got it.
I
Got
didn't
it.
go AWOL.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering
I
because
lost. Nah, I lost all respect for my chain of command, and and that's only because they showed me a minimal amount of respect, and you know, I give back what's given to me.
So let's talk about that because this is something I really wanted to connect with you on. And I think it's important that we do talk about it and we put it out there for the world because I personally believe this is something that we're missing today. And I wanted to get your opinion on what's happening in America today, what started happening in the US today, and then kind of expanded worldwide. And of course, is
Started
the
wait, started happening or been happening, just came to the light? Which one is
Oh, you know
it?
what? Good point. Okay, so it's been happening for a while, right?
Okay.
It kind of falls off of the media radar, right? Because it doesn't stop happening, it continues to happen, and then it resurfaced again back in Memorial Day this past year when of the killing of George Floyd, and then that
Well,
started. Huh?
it was very much in the media previously when Kaepernick was taking
Yes.
a knee,
Hmm.
and everyone told him, "Now's not the time for this. Get up off your knee, respect the flag, respect the soldiers." When in all reality, it had nothing to do with the soldiers. It had nothing to do with the flag. It had absolutely no disrespect towards the country. He was actually bringing light to an issue that was taking place. So, the NFL booted him. There was a lot of fans that hated what he was doing,
Hmm.
and now we're where we're at.
Yeah, yeah, and that was what about a year ago, 2 years ago when Kaepernick was kneeling for the anthem, right?
I,
It's been
it's
a minute,
been a minute.
right?
It's been
Yeah,
a
okay.
minute.
So, and that's what I want to talk about because you have one view on that, and I have
Hmm.
not a two different view on that because
Okay.
I do agree there is there is a huge issue with police brutality, and I don't think enough is done to fix it. I think enough is done to put a little tiny, those little tiny band-aids. They do that, but then that's about it. Nothing is done for any kind of institutionalized change. But
Band-aids come off.
the what? Well, they break off. Even if they don't break off, they
Yeah.
don't fix the issue, right?
Now they don't.
Um, so it's I'm on the side because for me, what Kaepernick did to me, that was a disrespect for the flag, because I served in
Hmm.
the armed forces, so did you, right? I understood what his message was, right, and I respect his right to express what he wants to express and how he wants to do it. But just how I respect that, and he has that right, I have the right to say, I don't like how he's doing it, right? So I think you
Granted,
agree with how he's doing it, right?
I agree with the message that he
Hmm.
was sending. I cannot say I disagree with what he was the time that he chose to do it,
Hmm.
because there is no right time.
Yeah.
You have to actually get that message. I mean, mind you, he could have taken a knee in his bathroom all alone every time, but who would get the message?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
chose, I think, the appropriate time, being that he had that platform to do it. And on top of that, wasn't he told by a veteran that the best way to do it would be to take a knee? Instead of doing anything else, take that knee. When we get down on our knees to pray,
Hmm.
it's a sign of humility. It's respect. Why is it that when he's taking a knee to send this message that that something needs to stop?
Hmm.
Why is that so disrespectful now all of a sudden when we all get on our knees to pray? We wouldn't tell our kids get up off their knees to pray, but yet you're going to tell a grown man that is actually using a platform in order to put a message out there about an injustice that's taken place, and yet
Hmm.
now it's not a good time. When is a good time? Because now everyone's protesting, and now is not a good time either. When is
Yeah.
a good time?
I mean, that is a good question. Now, to me, I'm not saying that was a good or a bad time. To me, I thought that was a bad way to doing it because now, and you are 100% correct. It was a I think it was a green beret that said, yes, you know what, that's perfectly okay. That he's got that veteran support, right? But don't
Yeah.
you think that because it was such a controversy, it kind of overshadowed what his real message was? Because
Who made
I
it?
know, I know that
Who
wasn't his
who
intent.
who made it a controversy?
Everybody else. No, for real, everybody else. But don't you have to play that game though to make sure your
No,
message really does get across? No.
you can stick to your guns. If you ask me, I think the president made it more. he blew it out into something that it wasn't about. He blew
Mhm.
it out into something of disrespecting the flag, which even Mr. Kaepernick, I do believe, said that it was no disrespect to the flag. I don't think his intention was to ever disrespect the flag. I can only say I don't think, but I'm not here to juggle anyone's words. But I
Mhm.
will tell you that the president put it out there that it was a disrespect to the country, disrespect to the flag, disrespect, disrespect, disrespect. So therefore, that perception was put out there and amplified, in which I really don't think this man ever had any desire to disrespect, but more so to bring light
Mhm.
to a disservice that was being put on a certain demographics.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Jay? It's people are now looking back, and after what just happened this year, people are looking back at what Kaepernick was trying to tell everybody. Because I mean, again, I know that that was not his intention. I know he didn't wake up one morning and said, "I'm going to go out there and piss everybody off and disrespect the flag." I know that intention was not there. And then back then, people heard him. Some people did not. But
Well,
the
he
the
in his mind it was no disrespect to the flag.
correct. No, no,
So
correct, correct.
mhm.
But it doesn't mean other people were going to feel differently or similar, though, right? So
Well,
what happened is that noise overshadowed what the actual message was, and now that message, that real message, it just resurfaced this year again. And actually, I'm almost
hard.
sad to say, really hard. And I'm almost sad to say because the George Floyd situation really overshadowed other police brutalities issues. The one that happened over in Atlanta, was it Atlanta?
Is that was that the young lady?
No, that was in Kentucky. That was in
Oh,
Kentucky.
okay.
They a Cooper, she was sleeping, and then they did the no knock warrant. No, I'm talking to the one that happened in Atlanta. The three white guys who were on a well, no, two white guys were in a truck.
Oh,
Yeah, and then one
yes,
black guy was running, right? And then
yes, yes.
we saw that, and so that happened. But then that happened in February, and nothing really much
Well,
happened with that until the video came out 2 months later.
well, the thing is that it's not that this one with Mr. George Floyd overshadowed. What it was, I believe, was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, on top of that, the gentleman those guys that killed, I don't recall his name, the young man that was
Yeah.
jogging, they said that he was stealing. Now, do I know if he was stealing? No. But they said that he went inside of this property that was being renovated or built, and he was stealing.
Hmm.
Now, my wife and I have walked inside of places that we see being built, houses that we see being built all the time.
So do
Have we
I.
ever had any intention? Yeah, I think everyone does it. You want to see what's going on.
Hmm.
And have we ever had any intention of stealing? Absolutely not. There's nothing in there that I need. It's just looking. I mean, and
Yeah.
everyone does it. And they had video of a bunch of people doing it. Now, let's go into this. If I was to just go and look at a property, and after just looking around at the property, even throughout its different phases as they were building, meaning if I went back more than once and someone approached me with a gun, yes, I'd fight for my life as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, so and which was what happened. Just so happens that these guys actually killed him. So that can be any of us. And what I think people fail to realize is that in a breath, that can be you.
Yep. Yeah.
You
No, you're
know,
right.
and and the issue here is that people do not. It's very difficult for the oppressor to see where the oppressed come from because you've been on top.
Hmm.
Only people on the bottom can have dreams and aspirations of being on the top. But people on the top never have dreams and aspirations of being on the bottom to get the mindset of people on the bottom. That's just
Okay.
not how the game goes.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you do have those extremes, right? And unfortunately, those extremes, it's what's popular, right? It's exactly how you said earlier. Um, this didn't just start this year. This has been going on for years and years and years, and up until
Decades.
50, yeah, right, well, more than that, right? Because up until the Civil
Yeah.
Rights Act in the 60s, um, obviously, I understand why Title VII of the Civil Rights Act exists, right? There was a reason for
And
that,
You're
right?
gonna have to tell me what Title VII is because I have
Title
no clue.
so okay, got it. All right. Title VII prevents discrimination based on race, national origin, religious affiliation, sex, and it's just as of 2 weeks ago, the Supreme Court says sexual orientation and gender identity is also protected now, right? So Title VII of the Civil Rights Act was put into place in the early 60s to curb any type of discrimination that people might face, either trying to get housing, employment, whatever the case may be, right? So
It's
there was a
crazy that
reason
we're
why the
still
law's
even having this as a discussion. To me, it's just crazy. Like, do we not respect each other as humans?
there.
It's crazy.
So let's talk about respect then, right? Because um, I happen to believe that it's nobody's born racist. That's something that's taught, right? Because little kids, from the time they're born, right? Yeah, they have their own personalities, right? But racism is taught at home, right? So you can only control as a society, you can only control so much up until a person's home because now you got privacy rights, right? So unfortunately, they have their rights of speech, just so do we. But you're right, it is crazy that that thought process is still there. You would think that as a society and human beings that we would have evolved generation after generation. And don't get me wrong, we have evolved because racism isn't gone. It's chipped away, but it's not gone. It really
Well,
is still alive and well.
now going back to what you said, that racism is something that's taught. It's not just something that's taught. It's also something that it's a demographics thing.
Okay.
So the reason why people say that there's a lot of black on black crime. More people are killed with black on black crime as opposed to by police officers. And many times you'll hear that argument, which is a BS argument if you ask me.
Hmm.
It's a demographics thing. Now, of course, it's going to be easier for you to have confrontation with the person that's in your community as opposed to going out into another community, because those type of things only happen in transition.
Yeah.
But also with that, when different demographics do not integrate, you're going to have those issues. There are people that have never have went through their whole scholastic life and never sat next to a black person.
Yeah.
Why?
Yep.
Because there were no black people in their community. So therefore, they went to school with one set type of people. So therefore, they don't understand this next demographic because they've never had interactions with them.
Hmm.
There are black people that have never sat next to a white person in a school situation. So therefore, you don't end up interacting until you're in the workforce, or there's different ways, which is unfortunate.
Well, even then, that's not an issue, though, right? Because that's not their fault because of where they are. What really
It's
makes
not
the
their fault,
difference?
but mhm.
Well, what I was going to say, what really makes that difference is, are they willing to understand? Are they willing to learn? Because yes, for somebody who hasn't sat next to somebody who's white or black or Puerto Rican, whatever the case may be, as long as they want to learn more about that culture, you want that. I mean, that's what I would want, right? I would want
If
somebody
you
to
want
learn
to
more about
learn,
me. Yes. But
if
some people
you
don't
want
want
to
to learn.
learn, you have the opportunity to be better, to
Yeah.
be more knowledgeable of the next person, and in that case, it can also help you grow as an individual. There are also people that have had those interactions, and now they feel that they know it all because
Yeah.
they've had a few interactions, which is not the case. My daughter was in a school, and there was an issue in which my daughter said something about being shot in the head because they were just talking about Martin Luther King.
Hmm.
The teacher called my wife, saying that why is she talking about people being shot in the head? You guys are the one that was teaching her about Martin Luther King, and because other than that, she wouldn't know anything about being shot in the head.
Hmm.
So the teacher is saying, she doesn't know what kind of parenting we do. Wrong move right there.
Hold up.
Wife,
Teachers questioning your parenting. She actually said that.
100%. She actually said that.
Got it.
So now, of course, my wife went in there, which was the
Hmm.
better one of the two of us to go in there and handle that situation.
Uh-huh.
She went in there to speak with this young lady, and it got totally blown out of proportion. As my wife was saying, listen, she was actually referring to the fact that about Martin Luther King being assassinated. Now, the teacher, who is a Hispanic young lady, started telling my wife that, and my wife is a black young lady, black woman. Uh, she started telling my wife that Martin Luther King means just as much to her as it does to the teacher. My wife's response was, "How do you know what Martin Luther King means to me unless I've told you?"
Mm,
See,
okay.
you cannot go into situations thinking that you know people, thinking that you understand people unless you've had the conversation. A
Mm-hmm.
better way to lead that with that would be, what does Martin Luther King mean to you and how do you feel about it? Well, this is what it means to me. You cannot tell somebody I know what he means to you because he means the same to me. We never talked about it.
Mm, mm, mm.
You know what I'm saying?
So
Conversation.
yeah. So great point there, right? Because I could, so based on what you're telling me, I could tell what the teacher was trying to do. She was trying to find something relatable, right? But your wife is
He was
100% spot
trying.
on. Yeah, no, yeah, I know. I said trying. That's what I'm saying. Your wife was 100% spot on because I'm like, you don't know what that means to me. I never told you, right? But
Exactly.
you could tell the teacher was over her head with that conversation.
She was
Well, I mean, that
she was
conversation
way
shouldn't have
overhead.
happened anyway, though, right? Because why? Okay, so you're teaching these kids about history, about somebody that was assassinated. Actually, the person responsible for Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, right? Pretty much. And they're teaching it at school, and then they get all worried because they're regurgitating what was taught.
Say
Uh,
something. My daughter, when she was, I believe she was 5 at the time,
mm-hmm,
she doesn't play games. All right, she was 4 or 5 years old at the time. Very in touch with her feelings. Very knowledgeable about what's going on in the world.
mm-hmm.
And if you're teaching her something, she's not just going to just take it. She's going to ask the why questions.
Exactly what
She
you want.
exactly what you want. So
Yeah.
when you want kids to be a certain way, and then you try to penalize them for being that way
Mm-hmm.
because you feel that it doesn't fit what you want,
Yep.
no. And do
There
not
you go.
ever think that a mama bear is not going to come in. And mama bear always comes before papa bear, because if
Yeah.
papa bear has to come,
I don't know.
it's a
I'll let
problem.
Mama Bear handle it because she's way better at it than I am. You're right,
There you
because
go. There you
she's the
go.
steamroller in my family. So yeah, you're right. It's a to me it's I'll let my wife handle those conversations because you're right. Mama Bear takes over and don't get in her way between Mama Bear and the Cubs. I get it, but obviously
Papa bear is only for the muscle
that's
and
right.
and
And to
and the
open a jar of
finance
pickles.
and the
Well,
finance
all
and the
right.
finance.
Well, so Jay, here's the thing, right? So there's a lot happening this year. I mean, 2020, man. I don't know what happened. I don't know who took the heart of Tafiti. They need to put that bad boy back because 2020 is not
It's
looking
a
good for
wash.
us right now, right?
2020 is a wash.
It really is. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to have this conversation because this is what I'm telling people, my clients, excuse me, I said people, just my clients, because with everything happening right now, a lot of offices are saying we need diversity training. I mean, it depends how successful diversity training is. Really depends on how the organization that's looking for it, how they receive it. Are they serious about it, or is it just check the box? Because now my phone
Well,
is blowing off the hook. And if after I have that initial conversation and we're just checking the box, I don't deal with them. I don't because it's not going to go anywhere. So what I look for
but
is people that are really into the reason why you need diversity and inclusion training. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, no. The thing is that a lot of companies are having the tough conversations.
Are
I
they?
think it. Well, from where I work and where my wife works, they are having the tough conversations.
Okay.
I think it really goes into how you have the conversation, which is very important. The how.
Okay.
And you really, as a boss, I think need to look within yourself and think, what, as I say, what have you done for me lately? But what have you done? What culture have you let lead the way in your company? I think culture is a big deal.
Yep.
It's funny. So I'm at work one day, and one of my colleagues just walks up to me and gives me a hug. And one thing that I do not do at work is go around hugging people
Okay.
because I don't I don't want anything to be misunderstood or anything.
So far, you're
So
doing the
when she
right thing
walks
from
up
an
to me,
HR point of view. Go right ahead.
there you go. But I'm usually nude. No,
And
no, but
cut.
she
No, you're good. You're good.
no. So she walks up to me and gives me a hug, and I'm asking her, "What's up? What's that for?" She's like, "Oh, it's okay. I just felt like you needed it." I'm like, "I did not need a hug, but what's up?" She's like, "With everything going on, I just felt I should give you a hug." Now, this is a young lady from Georgia, white woman, and I'm here and I'm like, she's a very strong Trump supporter,
Hmm.
and all I'm thinking to myself is, why? Why did you feel that I needed a hug? I didn't need a hug. I mean, if you are 100% standing behind someone that puts this message out, then what does your hug matter? Our president said, when you're arresting these guys, don't be nice to them. Don't protect their head when you're putting them in the car.
Mm.
Don't be nice to them. Rough them up. Well, guess what? People die when you rough them up.
Hmm.
So when she gave me a hug, I felt very awkward. And then I had another young lady who just walks up to me. She's like, if there's anything that you feel you need to say or talk about, I'm here. And I'm thinking like, what? What makes you think that I want to have this discussion with you? You never reached out to have a conversation. These are things that have been going on for a while, but now that people are rioting, you feel that now we should talk? When Kevin Kaepernick was taking a knee, nobody wanted to talk. All they wanted to talk about was disrespecting the flag.
Hmm.
Nobody wanted to talk about the real issue at hand. Everyone was dealing with the French fries. Nobody wanted to pay attention to the burger. Everyone
Whoa,
was
whoa, 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 whoa,
dealing.
whoa, 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 whoa. What's wrong with French
Yeah.
fries there, man? What's wrong with French
Hey,
fries? Don't,
there's
don't, don't,
nothing
don't, don't. No, dude. See,
There's
so
nothing
now we're
wrong
gonna
with
have
French
problems.
fries. Nothing wrong with French fries, but it's not the main part of the meal.
See,
Deal with the main.
so that is a great analogy that I don't think you even know what a great analogy that is, because to you, the burger is the meal. I'm the opposite, brother. I
Fries
pick a
is number
burger
one.
place. I pick a burger place based on how great the French fries are.
Oh, I agree with you
I
on that.
I kid you not, right? So to
I
me, the
agree with
French
you.
fry. So here we go, direct into food. So when it comes to French fries, man, to me that's the meal. But again, that's a great analogy because you see that meal from a completely different perspective than I do, right? So just
And that's the issue.
no, is it an issue? Is that a good thing?
It's
That's
an
a good
issue.
thing because it's an issue if you see it differently and we don't have the conversations. It's a good
Then
thing if you see
that's
the
what, yes,
issue and you have the conversation like you and I are having right now. Because
exactly.
let's go back to a hugger lady, right? So you
Yeah.
feel angry and you feel awkward, right?
Well, I didn't feel angry.
Okay,
I felt awkward. I was not angry.
okay.
But with that, since she presented herself to giving me a hug for this reason, and I know who she supports, and we don't, no one ever talks politics in the workplace,
Mm-hmm,
so people really just keep their mouth shut, even though you know what it is.
mm-hmm,
So I actually told her about some of my experiences with racism, and her knowing me for the past 4 years, knowing the quality of person that I am, but yet I've had to go through, as a kid, some older white guy spitting at me and my brother while we were waiting at the bus stop for no reason.
mm.
And we were kids. So why did I have to deal with that? I had to tell her about Yusuf Hawkins, that when in Howard Beach, he was chased by a bunch of white kids.
Wow, Yusuf
Only, oh,
Hawkins.
yeah, I took it
Well, you're
back.
bringing the
You know,
80s, yeah.
see
Yeah.
that? This is nothing
Wow.
new, brother.
Yeah.
So, and that name will always ring fresh in my head because
Mm-hmm,
I lived in that neighborhood. He
mm-hmm.
was chased because he was in what they felt the wrong neighborhood eating pizza. They chased him and he got hit by a car and died, all because he was black. Come on. Why?
Yeah.
I told her about a situation in which I was walking by a place where I used to work, and in Scrubs, I'm walking. I saw 2 or 3 police cars pull up very aggressively. Police officers jump up out of the car, guns drawn, and I'm thinking, oh, somebody's gonna get it. Little did I know, all their guns were pointing at me. They formed a semicircle around
Oh,
me
wow.
and pointed all their guns at me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And they're screaming, what's in your hand? And I'm just like, my cell phone? So that's one thing. So then they start walking back to this car. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? You guys did this to me right by my job. One of the officers says, shut the F up and be happy it's not you. Excuse me? So now I'm pissed. Now I'm telling you,
Yeah.
F you, F your mother,
Yep.
F your mother's mother, because why? How do you disrespect me
Yep.
like this? And then I should shut the F up? Are you kidding me? So then
Yeah.
the female officer said to me, sir, please calm down. This is what happened, which is what should have been done in the first place.
Correct. Correct.
Now,
Police your partner,
wait,
not me.
well,
Yeah.
so now it gets better. They got a call of a black male wearing North Carolina blue with a gun. I am a black male wearing blue scrubs next to a hospital. Is there no common sense in policing?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then I should shut the F up. Then I told her about another situation where a police officer was coming out of a parking lot, and as I'm walking by, he almost hit me with his car. And I had to jump back, and I'm like, yo, what are you doing? And the officer tells me, shut the F up and get out the way. Uh-huh. Really? So that turned into a scene. See, now I was a military police officer, and because of that, I am very aware of the mindset of many of these officers.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to disrespect me because you think that all people of color are less than. Because in all actuality, I believe myself to be more than, and I should be treated as such.
Mm-hmm.
The same way that you feel that you're more than, I am more than, because I'm a man, you're a man, I bleed, you bleed. Respect is what's needed on all parts, and that's the only way that we can get along as a society. Do not think that because you're a police officer, you have a badge and a gun, that you have the right to disrespect another person or make someone feel beneath you, because that's not the case.
Yep.
That's not the case. One of the reasons why I actually left the military, and I knew it was going to go left, when one of my officers, my lieutenant, told me, we know you make more money than us, but when we're here, because I was reserved, but when we're out in the field, you have to listen to us. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're my, like, why would I not listen to you? And that was, I should have said, you know what, I'm not doing this. I had 30 days left of my contract and ended up staying for 2 years longer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you told all this to that hugger coworker before she offered the hug, or is this a conversation that happened afterwards?
After. It gets better. So I told her about the neighborhood that we lived in, and how it was predominantly a white neighborhood, Rosedale, Queens. I told her of the first family that lived in Rosedale, Queens, how they were firebombed by the KKK and told to get out the neighborhood. And then I told her, listen, that lady still lives in Rosedale, Queens. And it just so happens that my brother had a conversation with this lady. Then I showed her the picture of my brother with this lady. This is something that has been going on so long. This lady is an elder woman, and still we're going through these times. Then I had to actually tell her, I actually sent her the documentary. The name of the documentary was The Way It Is. You should look at it. It went into depth, the ladies in the documentary, on her experience moving into an all-white neighborhood. Now, mind you, she just wanted what's right for her family. She wanted to move into a better place. But yet, these white people felt that she did not belong. She was being accused of bringing down property values. Why is it that, listen, if someone is moving into a neighborhood, it's because they can afford it. If someone is moving from a neighborhood, it's because there's certain things that they don't want to deal with anymore. That's to be respected.
Yeah, it's that, but that's the problem, and you're always going to run into some people who don't truly understand that human respect factor, right? They don't.
That's
And
what it's
again,
all about.
it really goes back to how they were brought up, right? But I'm sorry to keep coming back to this, but man, I'm really curious about after you had this conversation with the hugger, it's how did she take it? I mean, did she feel awkward, or was she now like even more understanding? Not that she wasn't understanding before, but I'm curious how this because to me it sounded like she was it to me it sounded authentic. I don't know. You're the one who was hugged. I don't know if you felt it was authentic or not, but this launched a conversation that otherwise she would not have known. So I'm
Would have
curious
never
to see how
had.
she took it.
Now you've known me for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that I will always say is I'm never gonna be the awkward person in the room.
Mm.
I'm not. I'm if I feel awkward, I'm gonna make sure you feel more awkward. So she presented it, and she made me feel awkward in
Okay.
that.
All right.
So I did not like how I felt. So what I did was, okay, since you opened the door and made me feel awkward, well, here, let me give you all of this. Let me give you this documentary to watch. Let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you about some experiences. Now, I want you to go back and watch this. And then the next day I asked her, how was it? How was the documentary? Did you watch it with your husband? How did he feel about it? You know, because now you opened it. Why should I feel awkward? I want you to feel awkward in seeing the experience of many black people through their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because that awkwardness presents conversation. So
It
therefore,
does.
I'm not the only one feeling awkward now. She feels awkward also. And her response was, it's not just a black person thing. She said her being from the South, she said it's also that people from the North think that people from the South are slow. And she said, and she actually had the mindset to say, and can you believe this was by some of my own white colleagues? So she did not even feel that her own white colleagues should be treating her any kind of way because she's from the South
Hmm.
when she was in school. But yet, imagine being black. Because from the South, they hear you talking, so they're judging you based on how you talk. Well, how about based off of the color of your skin?
Hmm.
Can't do anything about that.
So you're right about that, right? It's two different things, but almost kind of parallel though, right? Because she also feels ostracized as well, right? You
Yeah,
did too. You felt awkward, but let me expound on that then. So, do you feel that she was genuine? I mean, I know you felt awkward, right? But do you
I
feel
felt she
that?
was genuine.
Okay,
Yeah,
so do you fault her for that? Do you fault her for wanting to say here, even though she's a Trump supporter, right? That's fine. I mean, it's I'm not a Trump supporter. I think you're not neither, right? But
not at all.
a lot of my friends are, right? Especially in the military. But we know how
God
to
bless them.
separate that, right? Yeah. So I know how to separate that. They know how to separate that because again, they have their reasons. I got mine. But in this situation, you got somebody
But
that says, I
you
feel like
want
I
me to tell
should
you what
hug
I
you.
say with that?
Uh-huh.
No, you know what I say with that?
Yeah.
If you like him, vote. If you don't like him, vote.
Yeah.
All
Correct.
right. If you
Correct.
don't
Yeah.
vote, keep your mouth shut.
That you are you see, so we agree with that one. Absolutely, not that we didn't before, but we do agree because look, I can't stand the argument. I can't stand who's in office, who's doing this. Did you vote? Yeah, no, they didn't have time. Shut up.
and
Shut up.
and don't go splitting the vote. You can't split the vote.
Yeah,
You
then shut up then. You're right
don't
about that.
don't go vote for someone that you know is not going to win, but you're hopeful about it. That's splitting the vote. And every time you do that, you're actually giving a vote towards the person that you don't want. You can't split the vote
Well, here's the
because the
thing, right?
person.
Well,
Mhm.
I don't know, man. Here's why. Here's why. Because I have a lot of research behind my vote, right? And if you got
Mhm.
somebody who walks in, because back when in the early 2000s, when MTV got big into, I don't care who you vote for, go out and vote, 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 vote. P Diddy was doing all kinds of commercials talking about vote, vote, vote. I don't care who you vote for, just vote. I'm like, please don't, because I put a lot of research behind my vote. And
Make
to
it
know that my vote is canceled out because you just went in to flip the coin because P did it told you to do it, you know what? Then stay home then, right? It, that,
mm,
that's just my take on it, right?
no,
Why not?
no. You gotta make your voice heard, even if your voice is saying, listen, I like
Mm-hmm.
uh this person, where they're thinking. I like their way of thinking, but you got to find a different way to support them. But when you split that vote and vote for somebody that is not going to win, because there's only two people, the race is never three people.
Hmm.
So you
Well,
cannot split.
it's about 20, right? But only two that that
Yeah,
really are the most popular. You're right.
yeah.
No,
But
but you're right. I
you
get what you're saying, though. Just I'm not saying just if you're not 100% sure. All I'm saying is don't flip a coin, right? If you're gonna go ahead
but
and
it
vote,
should.
go ahead and do the research and vote, because that's what I'm doing.
Well, in all actuality, you should vote for someone that is going to hold your values at heart.
Yep.
You know, you're gonna go into someone that's gonna. You should vote for someone that's gonna do the best for you.
Hmm.
Um, Now, you also have to understand politicians are human as well. They lie.
Hmm. Yep.
They
True.
also change as people. I think as you're moving through politics, you have to do things to appease people.
Yeah.
And, with that, you make some bad mistakes. You also have to make amends for your mistakes. You have to come to the people and say, listen, I was wrong. I respect people that say, I was wrong. I had it wrong. Things were different then, and I had it wrong. But if
Yeah.
you can, if you act like every choice that you've ever made in life was right, you're an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna argue with you there. And you know what? You have a wife, I have a wife, so we're used to saying we're wrong. So so to you and me is really easy if that's the case. Um,
I'm never wrong,
eh,
but I could have done things better. I,
right.
I'm, look, I'm never wrong, but I could have made a better choice.
Come on.
I should
Well,
have done things differently.
well, you know what? Speaking about doing things differently, then, so it's you're right. Something different. So we can look. Everybody has a videotape. Everybody has a picture of themselves from 20, 30 years ago that they're like, what was I thinking, right? But you're never going to really have that realization until it's too late, until 20, 30 years later. But when you're in the moment, you don't have that. So what does that say? That says that people grow, people
Yes,
change. And
yes.
what drives me nuts is that when the cancel culture today, with everything that's happening right now, everybody is overly sensitive. So they're pulling things from 30 years ago. Look at what this person did 30 years ago, whether it's a picture that was pulled up or whatever the case may be, or a video. And to me, I'm like, have you talked to the person since then? Because people grow, people
Okay.
change.
You-
And if they would
You're,
have
you're going
changed that,
you're
go ahead.
going very far back when you talk about cancel culture because you said you did not agree with Kevin Kaepernick on what he was doing, but yet his whole NFL life has been canceled because of it.
Mm,
And now, and now here we are, and people are like, you know what? You you had it right. We had it wrong. We should have listened. So what happens now in talking about cancel culture, in which you said this person was wrong for bringing this up now? He was wrong for bringing it up in this way. He was wrong. He was wrong. He was wrong. But now people are like, you know what? We should have listened. You were right. So there's a cancel culture. But is there a culture of I'm sorry? Is there a
no,
culture
there isn't.
of is there a culture of I should have listened to you? How can I fix this? Is there an I how can I fix this culture?
How are they mutually exclusive? So it's so
It's
I'm
growth.
no, it is, but I hear what you're saying as far as about the message now, because you're right. People are looking back and saying, "Look, he was right?" But it goes back to how the message was chosen, right? Because regardless on how you feel, I feel, how he feels, it's the message, how it was chosen overshadowed the real reason. It did, whether we agree with it or not. That's exactly what happened, because we're talking more about the flag than the real reason until this happened. And I was saying,
Well,
hey, he was just talking about that a year ago, and and
he's not
and we didn't listen.
he's not the first one.
Correct.
There
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
there was it's funny, I went to get something to eat and there was a basketball player. I believe his name was Chris Jackson. He changed his name uh to align more with his religious belief.
Okay.
But this young man uh, stopped standing for the national anthem,
Mm-hmm.
and he was fined quite a bit of money for it. And what he did was they came to an agreement. I think he was fined. He was actually suspended, and he lost like $3,500 a game, something like that. I have to actually look it up. But what he did was he stood for the flag, and instead he closed his eyes, bowed his head, and he actually recited prayer, Muslim prayer,
Okay.
in his head while
Mm-hmm.
talking, because he felt that the American flag was a depiction of tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
Now we all have our beliefs, and on top of that, isn't this country believed on the fact that you are free to express yourself?
Correct. No, yeah, absolutely.
So why should one person lose their income? Why should someone, and when you're doing it for a positive reason, or for a belief that doesn't hurt anyone else, you have a belief, but you're not actually hurting anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Why should the person lose their paycheck? When,
Okay.
mind you, we have police officers that are in in groups or whatever that have a mindset that can hurt others. You
Okay.
know
I
that
hear you.
that that like, what's up? Why? And there are other officers that know of this, and yet you cannot, as an officer, you cannot call out another officer and say, hey, listen, I know this guy believes this. It shouldn't be that way because he actually interacts with the public, which him be having this belief, he will target one
Mm.
group more than the other. But yet, as a police officer, if you go and say something like that, your ass is grass.
Yeah. No, you're.
You will not be, So where are things? If people want to talk about defunding the police, no, I say change the people people need to be vetted better. Don't just put your buddy in there because he may not do a good job.
Yeah.
It should be about putting the right people in there that have the right personality to have interactions with all
No,
types
you're
of
right.
people.
You're right. Well, it's you are definitely spot on with that. Defunding is not the answer, right? You're actually going to make things worse. But if we can restructure that funding and then take more away from the weapons, the militarized weapons that they think they need, and just put it more toward de-escalation. So selection process and
Some of those weapons are
training.
needed.
Well,
Some
they're
of those
needed. They're needed because this has gone on for so long that the fight has gone up and up and up and up. Next thing you know, they got to bust on an A1 Abrams tank, right? Of course,
well,
they're needed because things has gotten even more. If we just
they're not
take a deep breath
they're,
and to stop,
they're
yeah,
not needed for that reason. I believe that they're needed because society has went to a whole other direction in which we have all these school shootings. So if there's a school shooting, you cannot run in there with a bunch of 9 millimeters and stuff like that.
correct.
While you have a bunch of kids with semi-automatic weapons or fully automatic weapons, you have to run in there with as much firepower. But should you have that much firepower when and bring it out against people that don't that are not even to that capacity? Like, what's the use?
But here's the thing, right? You wouldn't need that if we spend more money on mental health. You wouldn't need that if we spend more money on training to really help police officers de-escalate a situation and not just go quickly for the gun or the taser. And we wouldn't need that if we make guns so easily accessible to everybody in the world. Look, and before
I'm
everybody jumps
listening
down
to
my
you.
throat, no, I get you. So no, but
No. There's something you're missing, but so I'm gonna let you talk to see if you mention it. But go ahead.
okay, I got you. So it's and before people, because I know once people hear this, like, oh, here we go, he's gonna take away your guns. I ain't taking away your guns. I'm just saying it's got to be regulated, right? It's because it's for police for you to have a weapon, right? As a civilian, you got to at least go through the same mental evaluation it takes for you to be a cop, and even that needs to be changed. But then
Well,
it's I think
people hated Hillary Clinton for that. She wasn't trying to take away anyone's guns.
nobody was trying to take away guns. I agree with that.
Exactly.
Nobody was trying to take away guns. Just
So
regulate
the
them
point?
better.
And regulation is necessary.
Yeah.
Now, I was waiting for you to say something, and you didn't say it. You were talking about all the things that need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
but there's a main one, a basic, very fundamental one, and
Okay.
it's education. All
Training.
right. We need not training,
Okay.
education,
All right. Talk to me.
educating society, educating our kids. Put more money into education, paying our teachers more.
Mm.
When you
Yep.
paying our teachers more, we'll have happier teachers. We'll have teachers. Listen, you'll have more people wanting to be teachers. I think being a teacher is just as tough as a job as being a police officer.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
give all kudos to any teacher that I've ever had because heck, they might as well have been a police officer dealing with me. But more money needs to go into education, so therefore, the U.S. as a society can elevate ourselves more as
Yeah.
just in every way. We'll have better products in society. We have better workforce. We'd have more entrepreneurs. We'll have more doctors. We'll have, hey, listen, even the mailman would just be better. The garbage man
You're
would
right.
be better.
You are right.
We put so much money into crime fighting. Why do we not pay as much money into education?
That's the problem.
Because
You're right.
because you can stop the criminal before he becomes a criminal. Education.
Yeah.
Why
It-
why is
well,
why's
well,
up?
well. That's why I think we should redistribute those funds, right? Those public funds into. You're right, into those programs. So again, education, mental health, police training, de-escalation. We're too quick for that trigger, man. We're way too quick. And then for the police and civilians, man, because I've seen some civilians that are just itching. They walk around with a concealed piece, just looking for trouble. And I'm like, you got the wrong mindset. Wrong mindset. Look, Jay, if I'm walking down the street, right, I got my piece with me, and then three people approach me, and I have an opportunity to get away, I'm going to get away. Why am I going to
But
engage into a gunfight? I'm not
people don't
itching for one.
understand.
Hmm.
People don't understand that once you pull the trigger, there is no rewind button.
There is not.
You
You're
have changed your life
right. Everybody involved.
uh, and everyone involved
Hmm.
life forever. Is it worth it? And you always have to think of that. Is it worth it? Don't look for a reason to say I felt my life was threatened. Don't look for it. If your
Exactly.
life is threatened, then that's one thing. But even if you do feel your life is threatened, then reverse out of that scenario. Back out.
Well, there's two different kinds of threats. There's threats that you can get away from and threats you cannot. The latter is the one that you should really start taking drastic actions. The one you can get away from it. Right?
If you come
People
into
think
my
their ego
house,
is going to get hit, right? It's they think their ego
the
are just going
ego.
to get hit, right? No, just go away, right? Just walk away.
Yeah.
But people are itching for that, and unfortunately, cops as well. They're itching for that fight. Not all of them. You got that 5% that makes the other 95% look really bad. But that other 95% gotta stand up and say something, man. They really have to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You
If I
can't.
go to your house,
No. Hey, listen. If you come to my house uninvited,
well, that's different.
sorry.
No. That's different because you're in your house.
Sorry.
Where are you going to retreat to? Right? But if I'm in a parking lot, right, and somebody's approaching me to come get my car, they're still 6 feet away. Put the car in drive or reverse and drive away. Why are you going to stand there and just engage in a gunfight? It just doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't. Your house is different because that is your domain. That is your castle. Somebody comes in, you don't have the duty to retreat. I agree with that 100%. But out there,
Also, I believe that if you're in your vehicle and someone approaches your vehicle, apparently I don't know the exact law, but there was an NFL player that got into some road rage with a white man, and throughout this road rage, the young man actually killed the NFL player. Now the thing is that he was standing on the law that I was
stand
in
your
my
ground.
vehicle.
Was it Florida?
Yeah, I don't recall, but
Oh, okay. All right.
strange thing is what actually destroyed this guy, the one that did the shooting, was apparently he was in a similar situation. Not too well in the past, he was in a similar situation. So is this someone out there looking for trouble?
Jay, they're all over. They're all over.
Yeah.
3 years ago, this one guy in Texas. I think you and I talked about this. This one guy in Texas. He worked for the county, so Silver, Texas. It was a Friday night. His neighbors, three houses down, was having a big party, being really loud. It's like 2 in the morning. The guy goes over and says, "Hey, can you please turn it down?" And the people like, "Yeah, whatever, f off," and they just walk away. The guy calls the cops and say, "Hey, here's what's going on." Cops showed up, right? They turned the music down and then they left, turned it right back up. So this guy, he goes
What
over,
happens?
right? It does, but he goes over, right? He goes to the guy's home and says, "Hey, I need you to turn it down." Blah 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 blah. The guy got belligerent. The party guy got
Hmm.
belligerent and then tried to jump on him or whatever. This guy pulled out a gun, shot him, and killed him. Guess what? He claimed self-defense. He got
You got off?
25 years for manslaughter.
As he
And the
should.
reason he got, yeah, he should have, because
Because
he
he went to that guy's house.
went to the guy's house, right? The reason he had, because was he threatened? Yes. But why was he threatened? Because he walked over there, right? He could have easily avoided that, right? So that's the example of the trigger happy people that are out there. But
That's
look,
like
Jay,
these guys that went and grabbed their shotguns, said this guy's
same thing.
stealing, let's go after him. I say nail their asses to the cross. All
Absolutely.
right?
Trayvon Martin, too. Same thing. What's this guy's name? George Zimmerman. Same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well,
So,
he got away. So and this is the thing. Once you let people get away with this,
yeah,
then
that's the
you
problem.
start creating a culture. So going back to what you were saying as far as in the workforce, it's about culture. When
Mhm.
you create a culture and let that ride for so long, you have chaos.
Yep.
So avoid the chaos. Make sure you have a culture that is inclusive of everyone, that is respectful of everyone, respectful of diversity. Just because you're not like me doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And then also be open to learning new things. As I said, this young lady came up to me and gave me a hug, and I felt awkward. But
Mhm.
since she opened the door, I decided to share with her
There you go.
some of my experiences. So therefore, we were not doing anything disrespectful towards one another. It may have been awkward for both of us,
Mhm.
but you know what? She now knows more of some of the issues that I, as a young black man, have had to go through, and that was just a few.
Yeah.
There's been many, many, many more. And should I have had to go through that? Absolutely not, especially as a kid. Like
Yeah.
standing at a bus stop, why am I getting spit at as a kid? Why
Yeah.
do I have kids? I'm playing Little League baseball. So myself, my brother, and two other black kids, two other black boys, were four kids in a baseball league in Howard Beach that had thousands of kids. Why is it that we're on the baseball field, in the outfield, and other little kids are riding their mopeds across the baseball field talking about nigger go home? Why
Mm.
should we have to deal with that as kids?
Yeah.
So I had to share with her some of what it was like growing up for me. Since you want to give me a hug because you are now that it's on the news, now that people are protesting, now that you feel that, oh my God, this is getting so out of hand. No, it's
But she's trying
been
to
out
be
of hand.
nice, man.
You
But she's trying to be nice,
no,
though.
I get it.
Okay. All right.
I get it. I get it. She's trying to be nice. But guess what? This is nothing new. You are just seeing it and you're saying, oh, this is messed up because you're seeing it on the news. But guess how messed up it is when you have to live it?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
You know, you know how many as I've told you, I've in the past I was trying to go for a job in sales, and every time I applied for a position, I was really honest and I said black male, African American male, and I never got a call back from any company.
Hmm.
And I applied with so many, but when I changed it to saying that my demographics were two or more, one being Spanish, I got a call back from every company. Why is that?
Yeah.
Culture.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You're right.
You know,
Yeah.
why is that? Now they can say that we're an equal opportunity employer, but why is it that when you see African American male, you don't even that person who may be very well qualified doesn't even get the opportunity to sit in front of you.
Hmm.
But when that same person puts two or more, they get called back from every company, and they're sitting in front of someone for an interview, and every person is like, yes, we want you. Don't move to Florida. We'll take you here. Well, I'm
That's a
sorry. I
secret,
already,
though. Is that a secret? Just put two or more.
brother. If it's a secret, I just put everybody on game. Do what you got to do to get
Yeah, I
where you
hear
need to
you.
get.
Yeah.
But why? Why should that game be played? If everyone is an equal opportunity employer, why is employment not across the board?
In,
Is it,
in,
and
so
why is it legal to ask those questions? There is discrimination in the workforce. You
no, there
discriminate
is.
on who you hire.
I mean, I don't know if you want me to go there on from an HR perspective, but there's a reason
Hey, brother,
why those questions are
listen.
asked, right?
When
There is.
talking sweet, nothing's off the table, brother.
No, I got you. No, but look, here, so here's the thing. It sounds like this lack of respect, racism. Well, it doesn't sound like it is. It's a bigger disease than the COVID-19 thing 10 times over, because COVID-19 just came, this past year or 2 years to the limelight. Was racism
Don't
has
worry,
been
it's
around
gonna go
for
away. It's just
centuries.
gonna go away. Trump said it's just gonna disappear. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, yeah, because in Florida, only in Florida, not in the northern continent, and like in Canada, no, that's not gonna, because it's colder up there, right? That's right. No, but look, so here's the thing, right? It's a disease, and you said something earlier, which I'm telling clients they have to change that, and this opens their eyes like it's about to open up everybody else's eyes who's listening and watching right now. So what I'm telling clients is, if you want to change this, you really want to change the culture, because it's everybody has to do their part. Every organization, every employer for the organization, you as the CEO need to set that example of what the culture is going to be. You can't just say, here's the culture, and then walk away and not practice it. You have to practice what you preach. You have to live, breathe, and just live that culture. But if you really want to change this, take away that unwritten rule that you can't talk about politics, religion, or diversity. You have to talk about those things, because the reason we're here today and we're having so many issues and people yelling at each other. I mean, look at you and I right now. We just had a civil conversation. You had a difference of opinion than I did, and vice versa. We didn't yell at each other. We're not going to choke each other out. As a matter of fact, later on, we may have to go barbecue and get some Hennessy, right? Because you still owe me from last time. Just want to
Stop
let you know.
talking dirty to me, man. Stop talking dirty to me.
But what I'm saying is that if you take away that faux pas at work from talking about politics and talking about religion and all those touchy things, and have people actually express those differences of opinion and have that culture there, I
Well,
guarantee we're going to chip away at this.
there's a
That
reason.
is the best diversity training I can possibly give anybody,
Well, there's a reason now. Not everyone can handle it.
because
Not everyone can handle it.
we haven't talked about it, right? Not
Well,
not I can't run a 440, right? I can't do that, but I bet if I tried, that's going to happen, right? But I gotta
eventually,
practice it.
you can do that full 40 one of these days, man. One of these days you can
No,
get it.
look. So here's the thing, right? It's but you have to practice that, right? So if you take, you're right.
Exactly.
You have to jump into it knowing that you're going to have some clashes. You got to have that backbone and that spine to be there and have those hardcore conversation and keep the temperature up or down and keep it leveled, right? But you got to start somewhere. But
Well,
I did two classes that way and it worked beautifully. It really did.
hmm, that'd be interesting to see that because, and then not only that, the thing is that there's a short term and a long term. Do people hold grudges? Do people start not wanting to interact with someone because they feel they have a different religion or different politics?
Mm.
There's no one that I would not interact with because of their religious belief, because of their political belief,
Mhm.
or what was the other one? Religion, politics, and
Sexual orientation.
race.
Sexual orientation also. It's if we're talking
So,
about Title VII, right? but no,
well,
but yeah, race, politics, religion, sexual orientation. We should be able to have these conversations as adults, as intelligent professional adults, and that's the problem.
but
We've
the
never
thing is
had the
that
opportunity to do so.
respect. But we go back to respect. Now, some
Hmm.
people would take, uh, because of maybe a lack of knowledge, a lack of education, they
Hmm.
may say something and it may disrespect someone. I think it's avoidance. By not talking about these things, you're trying to avoid
Yep.
these negative interactions. And sometimes that's good, but sometimes that's bad. Now, when you say uh, don't have these conversations as things are now,
Hmm.
but in a case like this where this young lady decided to walk up to me and give me a hug, she opens the door.
Yep.
So
Aren't you glad
as
she did though?
yeah, because it was good
Yeah.
having that conversation with her, and especially her being a Trump supporter. And as I told her, um,
You're proving my
I
point.
believe I believe that Trump gave the green light for this police brutality by with the things he said. One of my other shows on Talking Sweet with Sweet Baby J, we
Commercial.
talked. I had a there you go. I had a Trump supporter and someone that doesn't support Trump, in which the whole conversation turned into it's not that they hate Trump because he's human.
Hmm.
It's his rhetoric.
Hmm.
The things he says is what puts a battery in people's back.
Yep.
And it's one thing when you're doing that to run for office, because he has a fan base, but then that fan base is now exposed for who they really are. But now he had the opportunity to be the best president ever if he would have changed the music, changed the tone, and decided to bring this country together
Unify.
rather than divide.
Yep. I've been
So
saying it from the get go. He has
and
a silent whistle. There's a silent dog
he
whistle
had
out there. Yep.
he had the opportunity to bring us all together. He had the opportunity to stop these protests.
Hmm.
He had the opportunity to stop all these cases of police brutality. All he had to do is say, I do not go for this. Shit rolls downhill,
Hmm.
and I'm going to make sure the right shit is happening out here. In these streets, for every person that wants to vote, whether you vote for me or not, I'm going to make sure you're protected.
Yeah. And
Damn, I felt so presidential saying that. Why can't
I
he?
will. I was gonna say, I'm like, dude, if you threw your hat in the ring, I vote for you. You know what? Can I be your
Hey,
VP? Let me tell you, I would put the kibosh on burger regulations nationwide. Right?
no.
So
We need. I, listen, I'm all for regulations. I'm all for regulations.
well, look,
Because
Jay. So I'm sorry. Dude.
no, go ahead.
I was
No,
about to
no,
go
this is
down. I was about to go the food rabbit hole again. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that.
well, no. The thing is that because as I mentioned, regulations. Even though we were talking about it in jest,
Hmm.
I'm all for regulations because sometimes you have to protect the people from themselves.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
so even we have everyone running around saying, "I don't want to wear a mask. I'm not wearing one now. There's no one next to me."
Yeah.
Um, now, people are really upset about wearing a mask because they feel that their rights as Americans are being infringed on. Okay, I hear you, but why is it that you don't have that same energy when you see a black man being killed by the police?
Mm.
His rights. Why is it that
Yeah.
your rights to wear a mask are so much more important than a person's right to actually have due process, be arrested, see a judge, and and be held accountable for their crimes or be proven to be innocent? Why is it that wearing a mask is so much more important than the right to live? Now,
Yeah.
you also, at that same point, are all anti-abortion. The right to live, the right of the fetus. Why is it that you don't have that same energy when someone's being killed by the police?
Yeah.
Why is it you don't have that same energy when you see someone in distress? If you're a right to live, why is it that you don't help someone when they are down on their luck?
Yeah.
Is it really about right to live? Because there's someone that's grown, that's an adult, that's living next to you, that's in distress. Why don't you help them if you're all about the right to life?
No, agreed.
What is life? What is life really then?
Well, it definitely puts their rationale in question, right? Yeah, because I've been now. Look, here's the thing. I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? Um, just because you didn't hear them cry out for police brutality, it doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? Now, but I get what you're saying because sometimes you see their energies so much in one area, and then not enough in another, and then you definitely would question that rationale, especially with the mask, because I was about to ask you, I'm like, I know where you are. We're in Orange County. You're supposed to be wearing a mask, but I get it. I get it. There's nobody around you. Don't put it on now, because then it's the rest of the show's
I
gonna
would say,
suck. Yeah, yeah. The rest of the show's gonna suck. Don't do that.
no, listen.
Don't do
Hey,
that. Don't do
listen.
that.
I actually have several masks. I have a bunch in my car, but there's the two main ones that I have. So
You got two. So you got a whole. So you got a whole like a trench coat. You just open it up, and there's a bunch of different masks for different situations. I mean, what do you do?
Well, I actually have two masks. One that I wear out in the public. Well, but all of them I wear in the public, but one of them it's
In the
actually
car,
army
basically.
fatigue. Well, no, never that. That's ridiculous. But one, it's army fatigue, and I actually have to share why army fatigue because I was a soldier,
Okay.
always a soldier, am a soldier, and then it says on it, "This life matters."
Oh, okay.
Now, the reason why I have it, "This life matters," is because I'm a black man. Black lives do matter.
Hmm.
That's been an issue. And for some reason, people feel it's an issue to hear that. Why? I don't know. No one is saying that anyone else's life doesn't matter. They're just saying black lives have been on attack, being attacked. And it matters for them to have the same respect that everyone else's does. No one's saying that white lives doesn't matter. That is just anyone that ever says black lives matter is never saying white lives don't matter. They're not saying Hispanic lives don't matter. They're not saying Asian lives don't. That is definitely not what's being said. What they're saying is that my life matters. Please treat me and respect me like it. So my mask actually says in bright yellow, "This life matters." You see me, and it's a mask because I'm trying to dodge COVID-19.
Hmm.
So I'm wearing this mask because this life matters.
I hear you. I do hear what you're saying. So you're saying that for the folks who say Black Lives Matter, and then for the other folks who say it's all lives matter. Um, just to recap, you're saying that the people that have an issue with that is we're not saying that this other lives, we're just saying that Black lives do matter. But couldn't that same rationale apply to both sides, though, right? Because if somebody says Black lives matter, and then there's a belief that other people are upset, well, no, all lives matter, right? So that's the issue. We're like, no, we're not saying that you don't matter. We're saying that, hey, we matter too. Couldn't that same rationale be put the other way, right? If you put the shoe on the other foot and say, look, so
It can be,
I'm
but this
just
is the
as,
thing.
go ahead.
This is the thing.
Hmm.
Is there an issue with white people being abused by the police? Is there an issue with white people being targeted by the police? Or is there an issue with white neighborhoods being targeted by the police? Is there an issue with white men and women being killed by the police?
So
Or
I'll
is
tell you
there an
this.
issue?
I'll tell you this. There is an issue. There is
Hmm,
an issue.
please,
The
educate me.
no. What you're saying, there is an issue, and here's the issue. The issue is, right? Is there an issue with black communities and black people being targeted? There is an issue. That is correct, right? Outside of personal experiences, we have to rely on a jaded media. We have to, right? Because we have seen, if you look at stats, and shit, I should have pulled it up because I didn't think I was going to go here, right? But if you do look at stats, right, the numbers are
Nothing's off the
staggering.
table when talking sweet.
No. I know, but no, but I just have to go, find the data, because I was having this conversation out of all places with a colleague, right? I'm talking about, let's take a look at the data. Let's acknowledge the emotions. We get it. It's a huge issue, right? But then again, we have to understand how that information is fed to us is from a huge jaded media machine that they get fueled by those divisive tactics, right? We're not saying that doesn't happen. It definitely does happen. I gotta tell you, man, the white privilege mantra. I got a lot of friends that they're like, "Where is it?" I've been in jail 5 times. I've been shot at 5 times. I'm white and I'm on welfare. So where's my privilege, right? Because
So
when that,
wait, I just want to stop you right there.
Mhm.
And that in itself proves to you that nothing is across the board. So all black people are not criminals. All
Correct.
black people are not uneducated. Whatever this perception that police officers often have of black people is not true. The same way
Correct.
that all white people are not privileged. All
Correct.
white people, do not was not born with a silver spoon in their mouth. So, hey, listen, there are some people, white people, that actually have to climb from the bottom to get where they are.
Hmm.
And it just really proves to you that nothing's across the board.
Well, see, but so you're right. So that's what I'm saying. It's we also have to be careful what we're fed, right, from the newspaper because there is a control factor there. Because I have seen other issues where cops get shot and it doesn't really get the enough media attention as there was a white cop that shot a black man. Because if it was a black cop that shot another black cop, or I'm sorry, another black man, or vice versa, it wouldn't get that much airplay because at the end of the day, all media outlets, all of them have an agenda. And the agenda is to sell airtime. How do you sell airtime? To keep people scared and keep people bothered. And look at what this person did and that person did. Because if you go out and you pull that data is there. But you're 100% right. This is an all cultures problem. Oh, no, excuse me. All races have this problem because look, Puerto Ricans also. It's dude. Have you been to Puerto Rico? You've been to Puerto Rico, right? No, you
Okay.
have. You have, right? So look, Puerto
Mhm.
Rico is a gorgeous island, man. But that 5% of the ghetto in Puerto Rico really overshadows what the beautiful island and the beautiful people of Puerto Rico can do. Same thing with the African American culture, the Hispanic culture, the Caucasian culture. It really doesn't matter. It all depends on what the media pays attention to when they feed it in order to keep the, again, I don't have any data to back that up, but, 2 + 2 = 4, man, right? If you,
For that same reason, it's believed that all white people were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and that's not the case.
it's not, no, it's not. Because I have some personal friends who that is not the case, right? And if they were to go out there and say, what there's no right privilege, they'll get crucified on social media. So they're afraid to do so just because the pendulum swung to the other side. And I know these guys for like 20, 30 years, right? So I'm like, I know where they came from. And I came from the Bronx. So let me tell you, what you said earlier in the show, by the way, we're doing a great job of keeping this at under 20 minutes. Back when we, because that was it. We're like, yeah, just 20 minutes, bro. You're good.
It's too big of a topic to be a 20-minute thing.
Correct.
If there was you were misleading yourself to think that you and I were going to have a 20-minute conversation on such a topic. But I'll let you go. I'll let you go. It's like when
we're not even drinking.
When you're there with hey, not even drinking is like when you're there with the young lady and she's like, I've never done this before. Okay.
I think that's me. Oh, she gave me a hug and work. We had a good conversation. Dude, you
Yeah.
remember what happened last time Q came over to my house? Do you remember? We were cooking. We were great. No, you know what? You don't remember. Yeah. So you came over. I know why you don't remember. We were cooking.
Yeah, it was tough.
And we were recording a show for the HR Talk podcast show with a JC and the face of the franchise. They were here too. And next thing you know, for everybody who doesn't know, Mr. J brings up this, hey man, I went to Costco and I got this really good vodka. And I'm like, oh shit, we're in so trouble right now. Okay, fine. Next thing you know,
I didn't make it home.
No, I'm gonna tell a story. Next thing you know, we're drinking and we're having a good time. We're having great conversation and we're talking. We're like, we should be recording right now. You're like, no. So we were recording. Actually, all that drinking and all that barbecuing happened between shows. And then you're like, I gotta go. My wife is calling me something, and I gotta go.
Yep.
And I'm like, are you good to drive, man? But I'm good. And then you left. I looked at JC and the face, and I'm like, yeah, he ain't coming back. He ain't coming back. We waited for you. Next thing you know, I get a FaceTime from you. You are drunk in bed. I don't even want to know what else you were doing. But then you were like, I'm not gonna make it.
Can I tell you something? I wasn't in bed. I was actually on my parents' sofa. And that was after throwing up all over their floor. It was a tough day in which I was supposed to be going out with my wife and kids.
I remember that.
And needless to say, I wasn't wrong, but I could have definitely made better choices that day.
No, you made amazing choices. Are you kidding me? Amazing choices. Memories to last a lifetime. But look, Look, so here's what's going on. Yeah, this could be going on for hours, but here's how I want to cap this, because we'll definitely continue this on your podcast, which is called, what's it called?
Talking Sweet.
Talking
Talking
Sweet.
Sweet. Six
I'm
six
gonna go
nine
ahead and
two
put
four one 1422.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that stuff up there right now. So look,
Okay, cool.
here's how I want to end this. At the end of the
Sure.
day, I want organizations to know that the best diversity program you can give to your employees, that would help them better understand other cultures, other points of views that they're not accustomed to, is to open that dialogue, and to also understand that dialogue is going to be shaky. The grounds are going to be shaky. That's perfectly okay. You have to be there to manage that temperature, to make sure that that dialogue does not get out of hand. But the important piece is, never, ever, ever quell the dialogue just because you're uncomfortable with it. You have to be comfortable with becoming uncomfortable. And the
Have
sooner we
the
start doing
tough
that,
conversation.
absolutely, have the tough conversations. Remove that rule that you can't talk about politics. Remove that rule that you can't talk about race relations. Remove that rule that you can't talk about religion. But only do that if you have built a strong enough leadership team to be human about allowing people to be, not be scared about having those conversations, and being respectful. Remember, people will get out of hand. Then you deal with those people. Don't
Yeah.
punish the other 98% for what the 2% did. So you deal with those people individually, and you make sure other people know how they're dealt with. That way they know how not to get out of hand and be respectful. So that's what I want to tell everybody out there listening. And I know Jay and I talked a lot about things that are touchy. And he has a stance, I have a stance. And if you're out there listening right now, and you're like, Ricky should not have done that, by escalating should not have done that, I don't feel comfortable, that's fine. Then I don't want to work with you if that's the case. Because at the end of the day, I want to work with organizations that are open-minded, and they really truly care about the human beings that are coming
The life.
into work, right? And really helping them out. And that's who I want to work with. So with that said, Jay, final words for you before we stop part one, and then we'll continue part two on your podcast. Anything you want to say to that?
Well, so the whole reason why I have my show Talking Sweet with Sweet Baby J is because people need to have these uncomfortable conversations.
Yep.
So the platform that I use, I actually give all my guests the option and the choice to be anonymous, to share your story in an anonymous platform. So therefore, there is no backlash that you feel, so that people can actually know what is out there. You know, you can share your view no matter what it is. But at the same time, I believe that in society, we need to share each other's view. Be educated about the man that's to the left or to the right, whether you agree or not. But at least hear him out. You may understand where they're coming from. You may not like it. You may understand it, or you may not understand it, and just say, you know what, whatever. And we all don't have to love each other. You may learn that you do not like somebody, and it's cool to not like someone. You don't have to love everyone, but make sure you don't like someone for the right reason. Not just because of how they look, not just because of how they smell or how they talk. Make sure if you don't like someone, it's because of what has been proven to you, what they've given you, all right? You cannot say you don't like rice until you've tasted it. You cannot say you don't like, anything until you've been educated by it. So that's my thing. Check out Talking Sweet with C Baby J, 669-241-1422. Holla.
I will throw it out there. All right, Jay, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate your time.
Well, good,
I know
brother.
these 20 minutes flew by. So they're about to kick you out of there, man. There
Hey,
are.
Listen, I went and bought something to drink just so they can be
Just-
like, yo, at least he bought something. Shit. Freaking a damn frappuccino. What?
Awesome. All right.
At least I bought something.
All right. Well, it's keep them in business because they need it, and they need hamburger help. All right, folks. Thank you very much. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Yo.